internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known, yo. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. So all hail the honorable. I'm internationally known when I be on the mic. I'm internationally known.
Welcome to the Being Neo podcast, episode 7. You guys have no idea how many times I have said that very same intro today. I don't know what is this podcast, this episode. You read the title. It's about love. Read my hat. It's about love. And I honestly feel like the energies that be were trying to keep me from recording this episode, man. There's so much I have to say about this topic. It's like the next big revelation I've had since peace. And literally, I sat down to start this at 1:18 this morning. It is now 2:22. I have spent all 6 episodes prior to this have been pretty click and play, real simple and easy, with the exception of losing audio on episode 5 halfway through and having to turn that into episodes 5 and 6. But today, episode 7, I have never had an hour of trying to set up with StreamYard to get things going. And I think it just speaks to, or at least I hope it speaks to, how profound this conversation goes. And I'm telling you, man, so many times, even before hitting record, I was like, I'll just wait until tomorrow. Today on my stories, I shared the police here in Medellin and their crime detection unit pulling a body out of a spillway. And, I then shared a story, and I was just saying, life is short. We don't have tomorrow. You've only got right now. And so I thought about that, and I thought about just how fresh everything is in my spirit right now. And I didn't want to wait. I don't want to go to sleep on what's burning inside me right now to share. So we're going to talk about love like I've never known it to even discuss before. I am going to share with you what I've learned today, what I felt today, and what I hope to feel, remember, recognize, and experience more of with days to come. And I hope you have the same opportunity. But before we get into that subjective conversation that I am dying to have with you at 2:24 in the morning, we got to start with some facts, right? So, since we are talking about love, it's on the hat. Oh, that's right. So I don't know about you guys. I love to cuddle. Cuddling for me is, I don't know, it's just this bag of emotions that's just everything good. It's like smelling bacon in the morning, fresh apple pie fresh out of the oven. Cuddling for me is just, it's that extra love language that technically is physical touch, but is also feelings of affirmation, but it also is quality time. Like, cuddling is just, it's everything. So I'm a huge cuddler. So the fact, we're going to go with this. Cuddling with the person you love can relieve physical pain. I believe that. So cuddling with someone you love releases a hormone named oxytocin in your body. Oxytocin is also known as the love hormone. Hey. So love, therefore, is not just about emotions. The fun fact about love is that cuddling with your partner can relieve you of physical pain as well. I love it. I like it. I agree. I feel like I agree with that. All right. Let's talk about today, shall we? We're going to get into it. This is going to be an amazing episode. I'm not going to be tired because I'm honestly like, man, today was such a great day. For those of you watching video, You saw that I drank water. For those you get only listening to the podcast, I just had some water. Today started out with a call at 7:30. It was actually a missed call. My boy called me. I asked him to call me. I said I needed to talk to him. I said, "Hey, I'm going through something right now. I need some help. I need to talk to you. Can you call me?" Um, Guys, I don't ever ask for help for anything. I don't. It's just not. It's not who I am. It's not. It's never who I've been. But one of the things about being out of the country is that sometimes you just need help because I'm not in the country. It's not as easy to create solutions for some simple problems that may just be a headache or a nuisance in the country you're from. And so being out of the country and traveling the world abroad, I have come to rely on friends in a way in which I never thought I could rely on friends, if I'm being 100% honest. And I've grown so much from that experience. And we're going to talk about why. But we're just, let's talk about the day. So 7:30, I have this call. And it's a difficult call for me because I don't like asking for help. And at the same time, this is someone who I've known for, I mean, we go back over 10 years. Um 2010, 2024, 14 years. And he's always one of those friends that you never skip a beat. Doesn't matter how much time has passed from the last conversation, you kind of just pick up right from the last one. We we learned today it's not that easy because sometimes there's gaps. I've been married and divorced since the last time we talked. Not really. We talked during my marriage and stuff like that, but we've talked since I've been divorced. But my point is, there's just a lot of moving parts that happen in life sometimes, and this is the type of friend that doesn't matter. We just kind of pick up where we left off, and it's funny. The conversation started heavy because I had to talk to him, and it was really heavy for me because again, I don't like sharing. I don't like sharing. I definitely don't like sharing challenges, and I definitely don't like sharing challenges and then saying, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Because I can't process it, and I need to know what's good. Um, and then following that conversation, I had a 6 mile walk, 3 miles one direction, 3 miles back. Um, No, people, I don't have to walk. I love to walk. I live my life. Being Neo is like being new. My abs are always here because I live a life of living, pushing my body regular basis, like staying healthy, moving. I go to the gym most of the time, 7 days a week, and you should push it. You should push your body. You should grow. Okay, that's another topic. I don't want to go too far off on that tangent right now. So I'm pushing and growing myself, but walking for me really allows me to just kind of like get into my mind and my feelings and where I'm at. And it's been a tough fucking week, man. Um, it's been a tough week. So I walked a lot this week. So I'm walking. I get done when I need to get done. I'm a little late for the meeting that I had scheduled, but here in Colombia, whenever they have meetings, just FYI, if they tell you the meeting's at 2 o'clock, shout out. You know exactly who you are right now, and you weren't gonna ever meet me on time. It's always an hour late, at least an hour late. They have a word in Spanish. It means different things, but here in Colombia, ahorita could mean tomorrow. Literally, it could be tomorrow. It could be next week. It could be next month. If anyone here in Colombia tells you, sure, yeah, let's do that ahorita, you know that has absolutely no definitive time frame at all. Okay. So because of the walk, because of the heat, because I stopped to, record the story of the body being pulled out of the spillway. Time went. I also needed to shower because I was sweaty, and so I'm an hour late too. No worries. And I get there, but we're meeting with other people, and I have the chance to meet with this person first, and just kind of talk, catch up. Just a friend of mine, haven't seen him in a while. I mean, it has lies. It's a while for us because we see each other pretty frequently, but we hadn't seen each other in a few days, at least a few days. And so it was nice to just kind of sit, catch up, talk, chill. And they shared something with me. And it was funny because when I sat down with them, I told them, I was like, hey, this whole week I have been picking you up and feeling some things. And I've been asking you questions and you haven't been telling me what's good. But I'm looking at you now and I'm feeling you in my face. Like, what's up? and they shared some things with me. And I gave him a hug and we talked and we smoked and it was great. And I felt so honored um to be there in their presence and have them share with me the vulnerabilities that they share with me. And it's funny because it's not funny. I'm just sitting here saying it now or thinking about it now, but um it felt really good to be able to talk to my friend and not but a few hours later have someone be able to do that and have me be able to pay it forward and listen. And and then moments later after that, another friend arrived and they had shared some stuff with me earlier, not earlier that day, but like earlier in the weeks before. And I wanted them to kind of share those things with my other friend. And we sat there, man, and the energy exchange of love amongst strangers connected through the heart and the common love for each other was it was like one of those when your power combines. Captain, do you guys know Captain Planet? I know I'm dating myself here, people, but that's how it felt. It felt like in that moment. Even right now, as I'm saying it, I'm getting chills and I have a hoodie on. I mean, you see this if for those of you on video, and a hat. Like it was amazing. It was incredible. It was incredible. Today for me was one of the days I have felt more love than I have ever felt in my entire life, and experienced love so profoundly in not only giving but in receiving. Today, today was a very difficult day, but today was such a blessing. Like, man, I got to tell you guys, for as many times as I've had my heart broken, for as many times as I've felt pain from someone I've loved disappointing me, man, today felt like a bulletproof love because my friends are my friends. And I know that no matter how much time or distance is covered in how I travel and how the clock moves, that these people will forever be in my life. And the level at which we were able to all communicate today, vulnerably, fully exposed in some of the depths of our challenges in life right now, some of our fears, some of our anxious moments, our insecurities, and to be completely vulnerable and loved. It was it was great, man. It was fucking great. And I'm sitting here telling you, I told you in the first episode about peace and how, peace is ours to have and we give it away. It's not something we have to find. It's something I've looked for. I've searched for it my whole life, but it's mine. And every day in the little moments and little choices and decisions I make, I give that peace away or I guard and protect it. And that was the realization with that. Well, let me tell you about my realization with love today. I've always felt as if loving somebody was me sharing love, me saying I love you to elicit a certain response, a feeling, maybe that oxytocin release in that person by letting them know, hey, I love you. And I've struggled for a very long time to feel love. I've talked about my mental health, wanting to take my life. You can't feel loved and want to take your life. Let me just tell you. But this is what I learned today. Love is not something you feel by saying it or sharing it. Love is something you expose by exposing yourself vulnerably in a point in which you feel completely open and risking the fact that in sharing that vulnerability with that person in your life, they could hurt you like you've never been hurt before and trusting them not to. and then them not doing it. Man, can we just sit there for a minute and just think about that? Yo, we live in this fucking world right now where everybody on social media posts bullshit for the most part. I don't. I don't. I share reels. I share a shit ton of reels, but if you see my face, you know that it's the truth coming at you. And some of you are like, love's not vulnerability. Man, let me explain something to you. I love you guys. I love you guys. Yeah, I think I said it in episode 1. Maybe I said it in the Meet the Host episode. I'm probably gonna say it in a bunch of episodes if I'm being honest. Yo, the next woman that chooses that they want to do life with me, this content is out. I've got a real butt ass naked on my page. Some of you are looking for it right now. Um, and they're gonna have to be okay with that. They're gonna have to be okay with the fact that we can have arguments, and I may talk about that argument on here in the podcast. I may talk about it on my social medias. Um, they've got to be okay with that. Forget all of that, man. Like, I'm gonna share things about myself that I haven't shared with anybody. I'm sharing it with you guys. Now, they may not know it yet because I may share it like some of the things I've already shared. And like if they're not watching or listening to the podcast and we're not that far in a relationship, it is very well possible that with some of the things I've shared with you guys that they love me before I've shared those things. I told you on here I've dated a prostitute. Yo, maybe my next wife doesn't want a husband that's dated a prostitute before. I also told you I've been divorced twice. And you know, my last divorce was because I couldn't share myself openly with my wife. She couldn't share herself openly with me. That's a vulnerability. It's not a love thing. I told her I loved her every day, multiple times a day. How many times have you told a person that you say you love multiple times a day, and you're cheating on them right the fuck now? You're literally laying in the bed with some other woman and some other man, telling that person that you love them every day. But they don't know that they don't please you sexually, or that you're gay, or that you're bisexual and you've had this bisexual curiosity for your entire life and you're just now exercising the desire to see what it's like. But you never shared that with them. But you tell them that you love them. But this is a part of you that you haven't shared. How is that love? People say love is sacrifice. Well, sacrificing the comfort of your lies in itself is a vulnerability and an exposure to that person. Love is exposure. Love is being naked. You know, imagine having this podcast and talking about these things, and I don't know. I really never. You guys, if you looked around me right now, I don't do show notes. I don't write down, hey, let's discuss this for X amount of time. Like I just get on here and talk because I'm trying to share myself vulnerably with you. I'm not trying to plan to elicit a response. I don't want to plan a connection. I want to just share. So I'm thinking about this day today as I'm reflecting on everything, and I'm thinking about the things that were shared with me and how honored I felt that they were shared with me and how hurt I felt for not hearing this information sooner because it broke me to feel as if they thought they couldn't share it with me. When I asked this question, they told me they felt ashamed. Yeah, I don't know how many times I felt ashamed. How many times have you felt ashamed? And I mean, I understood it. I understand feeling ashamed, but there's just no reason for it. I love this person so much. And to think about the fact that that feeling that they had of feeling ashamed was the same feeling I had in sharing and talking to my friend this morning. I was like, fuck. Like this is the reality of shit, right? Like this shit is real. This is life. And I thought about my other friends. Just I thought about all of the things that have come together and people that have told me they love me. And everybody that has ever broken my heart, it is because they lack the vulnerability. They lacked telling me the thing or sharing the thing with me that they felt ashamed about. And for every person's heart I ever broke, it's the same. It was a lack of sharing the thing I felt I was ashamed about. So, like, if we talk about that and we think about that, and you're like, nah, it's not that. Y'all, this is like, can you, I don't, some of you that listen to me on a regular basis or know me from other podcasts or just watch my stories every day and connected with me on social media, you probably hear I sound a little different. This is raw, man. Like, this just happened today. And I've been married twice. I've had multiple long-term relationships. I've lived with multiple people. And I will tell you, I've never felt love like I felt today. That's crazy to me. Nothing sexual. These are friends of mine. I'm not gay. Homeboy this morning's a dude. I love him still the same. Um, and it's funny because I've never associated that with just being fully exposed and then being accepted for the exposure, being loved for the exposure. And without the events of today, like literally at the times that they happen, I don't know that I would have made that connection. But it's so profound because I realize now, yo, past. People are like, yo, your past doesn't matter. This is the Being Neo podcast. Neo, Greek, means new. I am not the one. I've said this so many times. I'll continue to say it. I'm not the one, but every moment I have the opportunity to be new. And every opportunity I have, like today, not recording this podcast because of all of the technical difficulties. I could die when I sleep. I could lay down and not wake up. This podcast will be recorded because it's recording right now. And that's just real. We're going to do something, guys, to kind of keep this rolling because this is really emotionally heavy for me, as light as it is. And I want to share some of the depths of some other things I've understood. And I have a friend that takes a CBD supplement to sleep, and they call it Mother's Helper. And I speak to them every day. I speak to my close friends on a pretty regular basis. Some of my close friends, shout out to the Wanderlust Traveler. She knows who I'm talking about. We don't talk nearly enough, but I love her too. And um, my friends, we just we talk. So we are saying goodnight and talking, kind of recapping the day. And I asked, I was like, "Hey, you taking Mother's Helper tonight?" And they said no. I was like, "Okay." I was like, "No worries, I'm gonna smoke Mother's Helper for you right now." So that's the punchline. Oh man. So that's listen. You gotta used to the cough, man. We'll get a little water help with that, shall we? So let me tell you about someone I dated. I dated this person here, and I actually met her. Okay, so I met her earlier. Have to be careful with how much I share because I do not want people to connect the dots. My podcast and the stories that I share are absolutely not about revealing these people in any of these stories. I really do want to maintain the anonymity of people I do life with when I can. Obviously, again, this is my point, right? Like the woman that listens to my podcast and realizes this information is out here has to love me enough to allow me to have been this completely exposed and vulnerable, knowing that their family and friends are going to listen to these podcasts and have and formulate an opinion and perspective of me from these things that I've shared. And that's going to greatly impact how they feel and see me and whether or not they want to deal with that. The person that's willing and allowing and loves me through my vulnerability of me being 100% who I am and sharing that transparently, that's the person I want to be with. I've already been divorced because I was with someone I couldn't share myself with. And so me understanding that just created a new level of understanding love. So this woman, this particular woman that I dated, I had come out of a relationship. When they met me, I was in a relationship. I was in an open relationship. The woman who's married, she had girlfriends. I had other girlfriends. The husband had girlfriends, and every once in a while we'd all hang out. I've been in multiple open relationships, and it's even funny, even in saying that. It's not something I was in before. This is like the last 3 years, and different forms of open relationships, which we're about to dive into in a second. But this particular woman, I racked my brain for months after we broke up. And I was like, why did you tell me you loved me? Because when I met you, I told you specifically that my heart was very fragile based on the last relationship I had endured. And I mean, she knew about it. I had shared that with her. She was a friend before we had, taken our love interest to a romantic place. And so I'm saying this to her and thinking to myself, I'm not really saying this to her in my mind. I'm saying this to her and thinking to myself, why did you tell me? Because this particular woman told me she loved me multiple times. And it's the first time in my life where someone said, I love you. And I was like, thank you. I'm not even joking, man. Um, we were leaving a coffee shop the first time. And at first I was like, oh, she must be talking to her child. And I was like, child, see, I'm trying to keep it real vague. And they weren't. They were looking dead at me, and I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And then this happened a few other times where I said thank you, and then we had sex. And they said it again after we had sex. Orgasms do that to people. And so at this point in time, I'm like, listen, we got to talk about this because you keep telling me you love me. And I don't know that you understand what love means because the women I've been dating don't seem to understand what love means. And I went through this freaking long ass hour-long conversation because guys, I could talk. We're 26 minutes into this and I don't even feel like I've said anything yet. But we had this long ass conversation about, yo, this is what it means to me to tell somebody you love them. So are you sure that this is what you're saying? Because if not, you need to stop saying it. And if so, I love you too. So they said, no, yeah, definitely, blah, 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 blah. Weeks after this, they didn't ghost. They just started coming up with a bunch of bullshit reasons. Um, so this was whatever. And then for weeks everything was cool. And then after that, there was this one moment in time where something switched and flipped. And I don't know, I don't know what the thing was in that moment. But later after, all the dust settled, I'm like, yo, what happened? Like, what was the deal? And they were like, you're an amazing person. I was just in a really dark space and I didn't know how to communicate that. And I'm like, I don't know. How about the way you just fucking did? Right? But what is that? It's a vulnerability. How do you tell me you love me, but you can't be vulnerable with the thing that's dark that's keeping you from being able to be exactly what you're saying, which is loving towards me? If you love me. How could I be married? Tell my wife I love her every day, but then not share with her the deepest, darkest things that are consuming me. If I would have killed myself on that day when I had planned on it, my wife would have found me and not known why. She would have had no idea. Because I never shared the vulnerability about any of those things. That's not her fault. That's on me. But I said I loved her, but I didn't share it because I felt ashamed. But if I loved her, I would. If you were dating someone, let's say you were married to someone, let's say your wife or your husband came to you and said, yo, I really want to fuck someone else because you have not been satisfying me for the last 2 months and I don't know what's going on with you, but I'm horny and I need to get fucked, or I'm horny and I need to fuck. And they come to you with that. How many of you, husband or wife, this is going to be the poll, would be pissed? How many of you? Pissed. But why? Because I'm sure that was really difficult for them to say that, almost ashamed for them to say that. And they feel like they're hurting you. But the reality is, they're sharing a reality to you, the person that they love, and not acting on what they feel. because of how much they love you. That's a level of vulnerability that should reciprocate the response of, I'm so grateful that you shared that with me. And I love you too much to share you. This is what's going on with me. Or, I don't know what's going on with me. This is how I feel and this is why. Or whatever the response is after that. But that level of real, raw, vulnerable conversation that's usually only done with best friends should absolutely be done with your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. And yo, boyfriend, girlfriend, some of you are thinking, nah, that's for married couples. I'm gonna do that shit when I get married. The fuck out of here. If you can't have that conversation when you're dating, don't get married. This is, yeah, I've been divorced twice. Take notes. I'm serious. If you cannot have the tough, the gut wrenching, I'm fucking nauseous. I don't want to share this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to bring this shit up. Conversations with your girlfriend or boyfriend that you're serious about. Don't fucking get married. Because, yo, you're not going to be able to handle the first 3 months. And I mean that. I mean that. And when I say handle, I mean like be in love. I don't mean like survive. Because who wants that for marriage? Man, when I get married, man, me and my wife are going to have more fun every single day that we breathe air than I've ever had in my entire life. That's where I'm at in life. And I can't wait to find a woman that I can be that vulnerable with. So I realized in going through all of this with her, processing all these things with her, it was because she felt so ashamed of where she was at in life, with what she had accomplished, with what she hadn't accomplished, with the things that she thought she would accomplish at this point in time in life and still hadn't. And so it wasn't about her loving me, it was about her not understanding love for herself. Oh, I went there. See, because the reality is like peace is ours to give away, peace is ours to guard. And we can't love anybody else until we're real with ourselves. See, until we accept where we fall short, until we accept where we have problems, until we accept that we are not perfect, until we accept that we fuck up just like everybody else in this fucking world, and love ourselves for it anyway, because the mistakes that we make don't define who we are, but how we come back from them absolutely does. And until we get to that point, how can we love anybody else? Because we're not being vulnerable with ourselves. We're fucking lying to ourselves. Yo, listen, every time you post that fucking selfie that you put 38 filters on, you're not, it doesn't fucking matter that you got 13,000 likes. No one gives a shit. Because at the end of the day, when you take your ugly ass to sleep, you can't accept your face. So how the fuck do you think anybody else is going to? I mean that. I mean that. The fucking fat movement that we started, all it's done is cause more people to die early. I'm telling you that as someone that used to be over 300 fucking pounds. So anybody that wants to sit here and talk about, you can't say that to fat people, listen to me. I'm telling you this right now. Stop making excuses, close your fucking mouth, and start losing weight or die. Because that's what you're doing. You're killing yourself every single day. I mean that. Either get busy living or get busy dying. That's just, I don't know where that's from. Somebody comment below. Where's that from? Get busy living or get busy dying. But for real, like, I can't stress it enough. Accepting that is just, that's just stupid. Don't accept, oh, I like to be big. Don't like to be big. There's nothing cool about it. And I mean that. Like, seriously, lose weight. You can. I promise you can. And if you need help with it, I'm here to support you through it. I am always a fat kid at heart. I just finished a 72-hour fast. I broke it with pork rinds today. That was today. It's tough to not eat. And people ask me sometimes, why do I do fast sometimes? Because when my mind starts focusing on everything or trying to focus on what exactly I'm supposed to be doing, when I'm trying to listen to and feel the energies, the people around me, what I'm supposed to do, how I'm supposed to do that, when I am challenged beyond my normal capacity to respond to said challenge, I create a challenge and allow myself to get into a space of comfort in the discomfort that is being fucking hungry and walking 20 miles. No, I'm no fucking David Goggins. That guy, woof. It's a whole nother level. I'm not him. But be hungry. Get hungry. I don't care who you are right now. Be hungry and work through it. Focus on what you need to focus on while you're hungry. And you'll start to develop an ability to zone into the thing that you need to zone into. And so that's where I was at. I ate today. It was great. And then I followed it by 2 pounds of ground beef. I had 2 pounds of ground beef, Munster cheese, and crema de queso, crema de queso, which is like cream cheese. It was great. That's what I ate. All right. So now think about other relationships. To talk about the webcam model. If you haven't, links in the description. But she had a drug problem, and she thought she could just quit. She thought she could just stop the drugs and just live life with me, and she was ashamed. But why? Why could you not share that vulnerability and allow the relationship to work? Because like it's really the reality is like that's love. Love is allowing yourself to be seen naked and accepted and loved for what you show, what you are, who you are. Um, so why am I saying all that? And I don't want this episode to go crazy long. I'm saying that because if you want to have peace over everything, then you also have to get real with yourself, to love yourself, to be at peace. And so, and when I have the wage war for peace, mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, all of that also must be met with love. Love for your mental health. Love for the fact that you can accept that your mental health is not perfect. And love for the fact that it allows you to be better. I love the fact that I can improve my mood daily. Every moment, not even daily, throughout the day, I get to sit and say, hey, this is not going to define me. I am not going to break. I'm going to bend because that's who I am. And in doing those things, you become stronger mentally, physically, going to the gym, walking, pushing myself, loving myself to say, hey, it doesn't matter that I've had 5 knee surgeries. I don't have a meniscus. I have a brace that they specially made and told me I'd never be able to walk without it again. It doesn't matter that I go running when I need to. Like, listen, people, push yourself, wage war in all of the areas. Emotionally, hey, unpack why you have such an anger issue. I've been there. I have an anger issue to this day. Love is the thing I'm using to overcome the anger issue. Because if you can learn to love, if you can learn to be vulnerable, like look at someone on homeless on the street and think about how much they must be struggling. And at the same time, think about there go you. In what aspect are you not being vulnerable where there could go you because you keep trying to push without help, because you keep ignoring or acting like everything's okay when it's not. I didn't decide and just wake up one day I wanted to kill myself. It was something that it was little bits and pieces of me giving my peace away and me not loving myself at the same time that created this synergy of stupidity. It just was stupid. Like, yo, don't do that. It's like, hey, if you want to lose weight, stop eating. If you want to be loved, if you want to feel love, if you want to be at peace, then take the things that are making you uncomfortable and get comfortable there. Sharing the thing that you don't want to share. Again, plug therapy. To go to therapy. Because I'm not telling everyone right now to go home and tell your wife that you've been cheating on her for your entire marriage. And I'm not telling you to go home and tell your husband that the baby is not his. Not right now. Go to therapy. Practice on them first. I mean that. That's better for you. It's better for them. Practice how you're going to say it. Let them role play what their response may be so you're prepared for it. But find a way to be vulnerable so that you can really feel love. Because when you're not vulnerable, here's the other thing, right? Think about a turtle or any animal or creature, an armadillo that has this external shell. If you don't break that shell down and open yourself up to that vulnerability, you can never truly receive that love and feel just how deeply that person cares for you with said flaws, with said things you feel ashamed of, because you're keeping that outer shell from being able to allow them in. Now, if you think about all of that, now you're not just throwing the word I love you out there, because you realize that it's not about you saying to make that person feel something. It's about you saying, because you've allowed yourself to be that open, that you trust them enough to hear those words and realize that they last in eternity. Telling someone that you love them lasts an eternity, even if you're no longer together. Because listen, I'm not proud of my sex numbers, but they're up there. And though I could with some time sit down and write every name, I think I can guarantee you without any hesitation that every woman that has ever told me I love you, I could sit here and tell you right now. And I will remember them forever, no matter how long or short the relationship was. So, like, understanding that vulnerability is what it truly is. Changes how fast you give it, how fast you think you feel it. And it also clarifies and identifies what love really feels like. Because it doesn't feel like a desire for someone, it's a comfort with exposing yourself to them. That's different. So different. Whew. You know, it's funny. I tell people all the time that know me when they ask me about me leaving my marriage and then dating the woman that cheated on me after who I was going to ask to marry me. And I say all the time, I'm like, man, I never loved a woman like her. I never loved a woman the way I loved her. And my defining factor on that and saying that every single time I've said it since the breakup of her, which has been years now, every time I said that, you know what I said? I always followed it up with, I never shared myself completely with anyone like I did her. Ever. That's what made me feel so exposed was because I was. That's what made me feel so deeply in love with this girl because I was more exposed with her than I had ever been with anybody. And the thing that makes me question if I'd ever be in another serious relationship or married again, it's not, can I find a girl attractive enough? It's not, can I find a girl I enjoy spending time with enough? It's not, can I find a girl I enjoy hanging out with enough and doing things with, or going to dinners with, or taking to games with. Like, it's not any traveling. It's none of that. None of that. It's, can I find someone again where I want to take such a risk as to expose myself in the most vulnerable way and allow them to see that and be in and be exposed to that? Do I want to take that risk? Because I feel ashamed of who I am sometimes. And I know that if I get married again, if I get into a really serious relationship again and tell someone I love them, that I have to give them myself completely exposed. As much as I feel fucking exposed here, sharing this shit with you right now, there's so much I don't share still. There's things I can't share. But saying that, like, fuck, that's the fear. Can I share myself that way again and truly be accepted and not rejected? I don't know. I don't know. But for those of you that are going around telling your boyfriend or your girlfriend that you love them, your husband or your wife that you love them, please remember, love is not about you sharing those words and how that makes them feel. Love is about you taking the very thing you're ashamed about and sharing it with them because there's no one else that you'd rather share it with, knowing that you could trust them with that insecurity, that vulnerability, and be loved in response to it. I wish, I hope, and I pray for each of you to feel that with someone at least once in your life. I felt that for the first time today. And God, it felt amazing. And I shouldn't just say today, it's been the last couple days. I've had some of my friends listen to these podcasts and speak words and life into me that I never expected to hear from anyone. I've had people listen to this podcast and share things with me that they've never shared with anyone. Because I inspired them to share those things because of things I had shared. Um, y'all, I'm going through challenges right now that I know I'm going through because of this podcast. Um, I say I want to change the world, this podcast, and I'm not joking. Um, one of the listeners wrote me and told me that they can understand and feel my sincerity in the words that I share And that meant so much to me because they weren't looking at me on video. They were just listening to me. And I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of my voice. People think I have a good voice for podcasting. I don't know that I don't agree with that, but I say that all the time. I hate editing my stuff. But I was appreciative because I said they saw me. I felt seen and heard, even without being seen, but heard. Because, man, I've been putting off doing the Be a Neo podcast since I shut down the Keto Matrix podcast. This is something I've had in my heart for years to share, and I just wasn't ready to share it. And I wasn't in a position to understand and unpack at the level at which I'm doing right now. Last year was a very raw year for me, a lot of scabs and a lot of healing. And I'm still healing from a lot of different things. But I tell you right now, to sit down with friends today, to share, to cry, to hold, to hug, to be heard, and to listen, man, it filled my heart so high with so much love that here at my time as a people, it's 3:07 in the morning. And even now I could cry. Not because I'm sad, but because I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful for this moment and this time of my life. And I'm excited about the other conversations I'm going to continue having with people, continue sharing with you, and the sharing that you're going to do as you listen to these episodes and you drop them in the inbox of the text message or the social media channel of the friend that really needs to hear this. I'm excited for what's going to come with all of this. Episode 7, people. Love. PolyAmor. All right. So, this is the last thing I'm going to say, and we're getting off because we are 46 minutes in. My first reasoning and understanding and questioning about can you love more than one person was when I was dating a woman. It was the first woman I dated that had come to me and told me she was bisexual. And I was like, "You're bisexual?" She was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, well, you being bisexual, have you ever been with a woman?" She said, "No." And I said, "Why?" She said she'd be ashamed. She'd be ashamed that it came out. She wouldn't know where to start. That wasn't her thing. And I loved her. And I was like, okay, but are you sure? She knew she liked women. I was like, well, if we're going to be in this relationship, it's going to be serious, then when you're ready, can we please have the conversation? And as you get ready, can we talk about it or can I talk with you about it as I feel insecure about things? Because here's the thing, I know most men are like, oh my God, threesomes, foursomes. I've had threesomes and foursomes. And fucking three people, fucking three women, fucking four women. No, I haven't fucked four women. That'd be a fivesome, and that'd be overwhelming for me. But fucking three women, like, it's not what you think. For those of you that are like dying to have sex with multiple people, it's not what you think. You don't get to pay the same amount of attention that you normally do. Whatever. I don't. I could go down that rabbit hole, but it's not what you think. And so when I'm thinking about this with someone I love, for me, it really hit me. This was one of my first endeavors into thinking about looking into and researching polyamorous relationships because I felt like, okay, I could share you, but I could probably only share you with like one other person, like just that be the person, the female that you're with. And but still, like, then I thought about like, well, how many people do you get to before you find that person? Because you could be dating women for years before you find the one that is the one for you in that regard. So, like, how do I deal with sharing you with these women? And it doesn't matter that she's a woman. Like, you could fall in love in between these times with these women. And, like, what does that mean for me? And so, like, this was the first time I started really questioning what I feel insecure about when it comes to love, romance, and sex and all those things. Because I think a lot of people get jealous about sex because of feeling insecure when, like, the person's having sex with the other person because they don't like or enjoy sex with you. But in this is a pure example. Like, I can't be a woman. It doesn't matter how great I am at oral sex. I'm not a woman. right? So like you can't expect me to be a woman. Doesn't matter how much I exfoliate my skin and my skin is soft. Yo, when I've got you pinned against the wall, my muscles are hard as fuck. You know what I mean? Like you just I can't be a woman. So if I can't be that for you, but you desire to have that, what's my insecurity really about? I had to ask myself that question, like, really? And if I really do love this person, then don't I want them to feel happy in everything? Because the reality is there are women out there that are absolutely bisexual. I have friends that are like it's real. So like what does that look like? And how do you allow them and allow yourself like it's a conversation, but it's got to be a vulnerable conversation, right? And in those vulnerabilities and investigating and uncovering those insecurities, you allow yourself to open up and be vulnerable. So I end with that and saying, hey, if you want to be loved, if you want to feel love, if you want to give love, you have to be vulnerable. And that means looking at your insecurities. Some of you are thinking about getting divorced right now because you're insecure. You're insecure because you've tried a million things and none of it's fucking worked, and you feel ashamed to tell your woman that you need her help to get on a path that's going to lead to success. Some of you are insecure because you don't want to tell your man, yo, you haven't pleased me our entire relationship sexually because of this, that, and the other thing. But you guys haven't had that conversation because you're ashamed to have that conversation because you think you're going to hurt them. But really, what's hurting them is the fact that you're cheating on them because you haven't been sexually satisfied in years. Be vulnerable. Tell them what you need. Tell them what you're not getting. And then allow them to return and reciprocate that because I guarantee you, the path that you're going on is not going to lead to repair. It's not going to lead to like things happening or things being good. It's only going to lead to pain. So, yeah, you might as well take that pain and make it purposeful and build, rebuild. All right, guys, listen, peace over everything. You cannot be at peace if the person that you love is not someone you can be vulnerable with. Because in that moment when you need to be vulnerable with them, you will be at war, in conflict, under stress, because you can't. So take the time right now and work on being vulnerable. Be vulnerable with yourself. Stop giving yourself lies and excuses for the bullshit. You don't have what you don't have because you are not working to get it. That's not a reason to shut down. That's not a reason not to share. That's not a reason to be not to be present. That's not a reason not to be Neo and change. And some of y'all's relationships suck because you're ashamed to talk about the things that you want to have change. And you have a partner that would listen if you spoke. This podcast, me, the Being Neo podcast, it's about this shit. The tough days. The tough days filled with love that still cause me to go through an emotional strain and process of understanding my own past pains to then come on this podcast, share it with you, and challenge you to do the same. So this is me, Neo, saying thank you for listening. This is the challenge. Become more vulnerable by discovering and learning your insecurities and why you have them, why you feel those ways, and then sharing them with the people in your life that you say you love. And going on the freeyourmind.store website and buying a piece over everything and repping your piece, sharing the podcast, and having a lovely life. This was a pleasure. I appreciate coming on here and talking with you guys. I truly do mean that. I will sleep so much better tonight because I was able to share this with you guys. I felt like this was something that could not wait until a later moment in time. And thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for inspiring me to continue being vulnerable, even though it is extremely uncomfortable. And I feel ashamed at some of the things I say and share. So I hope you guys can love me in return because I love you guys. And I want to see the world as a more peaceful place. And I feel like I can help do that. So I'm going to keep jumping on. Love, peace, and hair grease. Episode 7 has come to an end, people. I'm trying to do better. We're still at 54 minutes, and I'm sorry. All right, guys, this is me signing off. Peace.